We're starting and we're live.
Hello.
There's nobody here yet, maybe at all. Or we gave them the wrong link. So, gonna watch us do email. I don't know if that's true. There are 2 viewers. Oh, maybe that's us. We're 2 viewers. No.
Oh, there's 4.
I'll look at them come. All right. Well, look, now there's 6. All right.
Hello, everybody.
So I brought along Travis. Maybe some of you remember him. Yeah. He's the guy that handles most of the sales, and then I have to come through on all of his promises. So just in case, you can kind of help moderate here today.
It's good to see everybody.
No, it's not. There's no seeing.
Oh, I guess I can't see.
It's going to be awkward because we're going to stare at the screen and then just wait for people to ask questions.
All right.
That's how this works.
So yeah, for anybody out there, questions that you have, we'd love to answer them.
Might give it a few minutes. One area that a lot of people have been wondering about is Google Analytics, so we may kind of dig into that.
Okay.
But we'll give folks a couple of minutes to show up, and we'll just start going from there. Unless there's any questions, if you guys want to ask questions, go ahead and type something into the chat area. I'm trying to think where that's located at. Probably on the right-hand side. Actually, I'm sure it is on the YouTube link. If you want to pull it up so you know what it looks like. Give people another minute. Okay, is there anybody else that's going to join us? Where's the chat? Oh, the chat's located a little bit lower on the screen underneath the video. There should be, says say something there on the bottom right. All right. Well, if you guys want to start off with any questions, type them into the chat and respond to any questions that might interest you, so that way you can kind of bump them up in the list. So everybody can hear me okay? Actually, it'd be good just to get some chat so I know people can hear me okay in the group chat area. Here, you say something.
In the chat, yes, sir.
There's me. Huh. It's not showing up here on the screen. I wonder where there's 2 different deals. All right, well, we'll go with that. Looks like there's another chat window, so we'll pay attention down here. Have you added the functionality for notification? Have you added the Have you added the functionality for notifications via email when a bulletin is added to the website? Yes, we do have that. So that's done like basically connecting up a third party. Typically I point people towards FeedBurner to send out notifications. So that's something we can help you out with, but it's also something you can set up as well. So actually there's a couple of different ways to do this. One, you can sign up people for them and put in a list into, say, MailChimp that goes to them automatically. So that's kind of a way to force your way into that. You can also have them sign up themselves. So let's, I'll show you how to do kind of, I think, what the preference would be, and then we can go from there. So I'm gonna switch my screen here by totally doing this here. Okay. So a program that makes this really easy is MailChimp. It is a program to send out bulk email, and it's really great because you don't run into issues like getting rejected by as many spam filters, because it follows the rules of things like when you send out bulk email, say to 100 people, you really shouldn't be just sending that through your email account, maybe in waves. My mom, they have a raffle every month that she helps my dad with the Knights of Columbus, and all of a sudden she was talking to me the other day that a lot of people weren't getting her emails. Well, I found out she was sending them in groups, because basically Google wouldn't let her send them out all at one time or even in the same day. So sometimes she had to stack it on 2 days to get all of the emails out, to send all the notifications of who won the raffle for that particular month. So I was like, Mom, we need to hook you up. So next time I connect up with my mom, we're going to go over MailChimp and the ability to do that. Basically, Google or whatever mail provider you're working with doesn't want you to send out a bunch of spam. So it's wanting you really need to be using some type of bulk email tool like MailChimp. Constant Contact is another one. I think maybe Vertical Response is another one, but there's different solutions out there. The great thing about MailChimp and why I recommend it to most folks is the fact that it's free for up to 2,000 subscribers. So that takes care of most parishes and their communication needs as far as email. So I'm going to log into our account, and this is actually how we send you guys updates. Oh, really?
You can do it later.
Oh, I can do it later. All right. See, this is why I got you. You're the MailChimp expert. Okay. Oh, this is my personal one, which actually I was going to log into. See, this is how we send out our Christmas letter. Getting to say behind the veil here. So I'm going to log into our Solutio one instead. Really?
There you go. That one.
Oh, this one.
Yep.
Of course it is. See, I totally know what I'm doing. Okay, so we send out different reports as far as like your traffic to folks to see if see who's coming to their website and such. Basically traffic reports that we send out for our monthly updates, and we use this tool for that, so that way we don't get caught up in spam filters. So one thing that or at least I have set up for myself, let's see here, is there's an automated campaign, which you have all these other campaigns in here.
Yeah, if you search for it up at the top.
Where here?
Yep.
So this is South State College. There's an RSS thing I do. It might touch news. Here we go. Here's my campaign. So 2 subscribers. I get I set my email. We'll just start from the beginning. I was trying to show you the past reports, but I can just send out I can show you how to create this from scratch. So, okay, so you get into MailChimp, you import your lists in. If you guys need help doing that, we can certainly go over that at some point. But basically, what we're trying to do here is create an RSS campaign. So in MailChimp, it'd be off here to the right-hand side where it says Create Campaign, and this is an RSS campaign. What's nice about this is you can sign up people for them. So if you had a list of 200 parishioners where you had their email addresses, once you import their information into here, then they'll get an email whenever, say, you update a bulletin. So it's a way for you to sign them up for them. So if I wanted to go to see Blessed Sacrament here and pull open their bulletin, which is here. Let's see here. Okay, it's underneath About and then Bulletin. Okay, because I need to go to the full listing page in order to get this. So here we've got a listing of their past bulletins. and there's a little bit, so your RSS. And in order to make this an RSS feed, which kind of it modularizes it. It's kind of a common format, RSS, in order to do things with particular items. So this is how maybe you feed news in from another website, but it's a real common standard for the internet. So maybe if you want to type that into the chat, Travis, it's basically in order to make any document category into an RSS feed, because what I'm showing you how to do, it can be done with anything. It could be done with just regular articles or whatever else. There's one for articles, and then there's one for documents. So basically, after the URL, you put $format equals RSS. When I do that, you'll see what pops up on my screen. It's this computer code, and this is the address that, say, a program like MailChimp would need. There's lots of other programs that handle RSS feeds. So this is a quick way to do that. So that's the address that we're going to feed into MailChimp. But just in case you were wondering, I'm also going to pull up the RSS version of articles as well. The screen is fuzzy. I don't know that I can do a ton about that. So I'll try explaining as best I can in other words, so you guys can understand what's going on. That may have to do with
the connection, right? Our connection speed is all right. As far as it's pretty good quality. I don't know. We'll try and do some things on our end to make it a little bit better. Give me just a second.
You can go yell at everybody to stop downloading videos and streaming. So here, this is RSS article. Okay, so if you want to do this for any article page, right? So say this is a Church of the Blessed Sacrament. They've got smoked hams, Lenten stations, and so forth. This is another way to create an RSS feed. The distinction here is if it's articles, you need to use the other format that I had referenced before. If you're using it for an article page, like this, that we have articles that are actually listed on the page, then behind the URL, you would put $format equals feed ampersand type equals RSS. I know that's a bunch of code, or like weird characters, but it's the same exact thing. So if you have that saved away, then you can just copy and paste that at any time. And then boom, we get an RSS feed that then we can use in lots of different places. So if we wanted to send this update to all of our parishioners in a nice pre-formatted way with all the little pictures and stuff, this can pump that out as well. Okay, so back to MailChimp. So first thing you need is an RSS feed, and for all of our websites, you're able to do just that. So I would paste into here, this is the bulletin RSS feed that MailChimp is going to get. And then we can tell it when should it send. So again, what I'm trying to do here is let's get this automated so that things are automatic. They happen all by themselves, and all you have to do is update the bulletin. So in a thing like the bulletin, you could probably just set this to send out any day of the week. So basically, whenever you publish one, it's going to send it out. And you can tell it, what time of day to send it out, usually in the early morning, so it should work just fine. So that works pretty well. If you're doing this, however, with an article category that you have news kind of coming in throughout the week, then you're really going to want to, so people don't get a ton of emails, you're probably going to want to limit that to 1 or maybe 2 days per week. So maybe like you would want to set this up for Fridays, and it would go out and grab all the news for the week and then send it out one time per week. You don't want to overload people with too many emails. But the bulletin is something that's kind of a one-time, you're going to do that once a week. All right. So then MailChimp, you'd click on Next here at the bottom right. And then we tell it who to go to. So we're going to send it to Alan Travis. Hit Next. You can name our campaign. Naming your campaign is just like to give you reference to, so you can see it better. So you could say, whatever the Blessed Sacrament bulletin. And then these are some automated fields, so post from. So you might want to say something like lay or this week's bulletin. And then it can use some different fields that automatically get fed in. For this case, I'm just gonna give it that. That'll be the automatic deal. You give it a from name, who they'll see when they're looking at the email, and then a from address is gmail.com. But you could send this from the parish, like pastor at Blessed Sacrament. Again, I don't have his email plugged into here, so we'll just go with that one. And then there's all kinds of other goal tracking and track opens and stuff. The defaults I find work just fine. So name your campaign so you can reference it later. Put in a good subject so that way people know what is in the email. And then hit next. We can have there's different kind of themes, basic themes. I don't know, you can get as complex here as you want. The good thing is here, once you set it up once, then it's done. You don't have to worry about it again. So this is kind of, it plugs everything in here for us. And so you probably limit this down. You might want to have just a little succinct message from the parish. You may even want to have some graphics, like a little header that says the name of your parish and a nice graphic. That's fine too. And there we go. So tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. we'll get an RSS feed. And typically when I do this, I'll send it to myself so I see what it looks like and make sure that things are going along there. So your college bulletin, just so you can see what it looks like. I've got one that's still open. So here is the bulletin from, let's see here. This is, I might have two. Oh, here you go. So there's a MailChimp version. So I'm doing some testing around with this. But here is the MailChimp version of that, just very simplistic. They can, it comes to them automatically. Click there and they'll be able to download the bulletin, which it looks like got misspelled. But that's from their website. So that automatically flows through. So if they misspell it there, it'll misspell it here. And then there's another version, unless there's other questions we can get to.
Not yet.
This is the other method, which is simpler to set up, but you have to remember that people have to sign up themselves. You can't sign up for them. And that uses, cool. What dimensions, pictures when posting a scrolling web banner? Barry 93 Mike, and on your question, if you could specify which parish you're at, which website, then I'll be able to give you a little bit better answer. So, so while you're doing that, let's see here. Feed burner. There's a little easier setup, like I said. So I'll sign in here. Okay, so this is feed burner. When you come in here, you will only have one. But say like Church of the Magdalene here, they have 150 people subscribed to get their bulletin weekly whenever they come out. It's pretty cool. So some parishes use it a little bit more than others, and it's pushed there. But basically, when you come in here, what you'll see to feedburner.com, you'll see this little box here that says burn a feed right this instant. So this is where you would put in that RSS feed, again, that same common format. Just paste that in, hit next. And then the title, this will help identify. So this, again, I have a bunch of them, so I need a little bit more, but if you just put in bulletin, that'll probably, again, this could be done for like ministry schedules and things like that as well. This is the feed address. Again, that doesn't matter a lot because people are going to be clicking on the link, so we'll just let it go as is. Hit next. Congratulations, FeedBurner is now live. So this now puts it into the system. So we're going to go to the feed management, and in here, I believe we're under the publicize tab, and email subscriptions is what we're looking for here on the left-hand side. Okay, and this is something we'll have to activate. They don't turn on by default, so we'll activate this email subscriptions. And here we go. So this gives us some code that we can plug into our website where people can subscribe. So if you copy this code and say put it into an article or a module somewhere on your site, then people would be able to put their email address in and hit subscribe, and they'd be off to the races. If you want to get a little, there's some different preferences here you can get into as well. So communication preferences, we can say specify kind of, because what's going to happen is when people subscribe, they're going to get an email to verify that they do want to subscribe. So that way, it's Google's way of verifying that the person actually did want to subscribe. And so you can put a little welcome message in here and give them a confirmation link. So once they click on the confirmation link, then they're going to be getting that email from then on. Email branding, you can give it a specific title. You can give it a URL for a logo. So like you saw what I did on the Call Witch Bulletin. I have this nice little Sacred Heart Catholic Church logo show up there. You can have different font. You can pick your font sizes and stuff like that. That's all up to you. And then finally, delivery options is going to tell you when do you want it to deliver, and they give you different windows. So again, only if a new bulletin is there. If it does appear, they're going to get an email. If there is no bulletin, then it won't appear. And so you give it a delivery window. They give you like a 2-hour span, and hit save. And so then anybody, once you put that code on your website, they subscribe, then you will see. They will get that bulletin at that particular delivery time. And FeedBurner, you can also kind of, if you dig into the details, we'll go into Magdalene here since we can see. And they have 150 subscribers, and we can tell a little bit more about their subscribers and see. Let's see here. Oh, FeedBurner subscriptions, manage subscriber list. Oh, maybe they don't show that anymore. In the past, they'd show you what that list was, so you could break it down. But for one reason or another, it is not showing up. So I don't know. That's a little different. But anyway, so those are two different methods. Again, FeedBurner, easier to set up and get going and plug in a little component into your website to where people they sign up themselves. And then the MailChimp way, which if you've never set up MailChimp, that was something you'd have to create an account for and get started up. But in the end, probably the way you want to go, because with most of these tools, if you can sign up people for them, you're going to be able to send it out to a lot more folks. So, and people that use really bulk email, they're going to be using a tool like that anyway. And yeah, again, with that, St. Peter Schulte, very good. So again, if you have things set up in MailChimp and you've got it going, then you're going to be able to use it for lots of other purposes as well. So definitely the way to go there. Let's see here. Oh, there we are again. Hi. Okay, so
so Barry93 Mike had asked about the pictures. He's there at St. Peter's in Schulte. So the dimensions for pictures when posting to scrolling web banner.
We can do that. All right, so let me switch up the screen here. All right. So by and large, your size will be different per parish, just depending on the look and how we, what images we wanted to use. But in this case, we're looking at the Prayer for Liberty area here, if you guys can see that, and the Mass times. Now, you'll notice something when this program switches between the two, and this drives me a little crazy, but you notice these pictures are two different dimensions. So the good news is here that you can have different dimensions. So like you don't, if you decide at one point, wow, we really want, more of the screen to show before they have to scroll down or something like that. Well, you can make these pictures thinner or not as tall and put them onto the site. So first question is, which size do you like? Which size do you want to go with? Then what I do works pretty well, and I might have to, let's see here. I might have to show you my entire screen. and forgive me because we have really big monitors, so it's going to be really zoomed out, but maybe you'll be able to see here. So what I like to do whenever I want to check an image and what its size is on the internet, I'll just click the image and drag it to my desktop. This is a super quick way. So drop it on my desktop and then click off of it. And when you hover over, it'll tell you the dimensions right there. So I know that you can't see that on your screen, it's way too fuzzy, but one of the fields that it shows up in that little pop-up box is 600 by 337.
You can also right click on the image and go to properties, and that'll show you as well.
True. Okay, so let's do this again, but let's look at the other size image. I'll just click and drag it here, and I see this is 590 by 390. Okay, so Barry 93, Mike?
The school, he said.
Oh, for the school. So here I've got another question. That's good. So it depends on which one you want to use and which one you like better. So let's go to the school side here at St. Peter's. And looks like this one article didn't have an image, so it doesn't show anything there. But it looks like these images are probably like the original, probably the 600 by 330. Yep, 600 by 337 is that dimension, are those dimensions. Same thing here. And so there you go. So really quick way, yeah, I recommend for a lot of folks if they're wanting to see what particular dimensions pictures are, that's a great quick way. It's just click and drag them off onto an open part of your desktop. All right, and let me get back to this little window here. Hopefully that works for you as far as the size of it.
Now he's asking though, is there a way to standardize, or like, is there a way to get them consistent?
Okay. There are, but there are ramifications. So typically we leave that open, okay, because if you're looking at an image and it's this ratio and the rotator is actually this ratio, then we have to make a decision. So either we can change the proportions so that everybody, you know, goes back to the original ratio where everybody kind of looks squatty or fat, right? That's an option. The other option is that we cut it off at the knees. So we just automatically crop it for you. But see, your whole picture won't show up, right? So it's probably going to appear whatever's up top, and then wherever it hits that limit, say that 337 pixels tall, it's just going to hard crop it. So those are certainly things that we can set up and we can do. Typically, we don't, because that gives you the power to choose that own size yourself. And for most folks, if that's something that they're doing regularly, they would know what I mean, it would be a good idea to know what those dimensions are so you can cut them and we don't have to force you into things. So if you're a client that says, hey, we want it to fit exactly, well, I can put you into that box. Just realize, say if you put a portrait picture where a landscape picture is designed, it's going to make it look really silly. And if you're at that point, I prefer for you to make the choice, because you know what should be cropped in the picture versus us doing it in an automated fashion.
Right. So part of it is process. So if whoever's updating, so like St. Peter's, for example, on that school banner, whoever's doing that updating of that particular area of the site, if they can just have the understanding that all pictures should be the same height, as far as pixels go, then that will stop from having the kind of the expansion and contraction of that area of the site. Because the only other alternative is, like Al's saying, is to make a hard lock on what we allow in there. But then what might happen is when you do that, then they can throw in whatever size image they want, but it's going to cut it at a certain point that maybe they weren't really intending. So
here's another, and I don't know how this is going to appear on your screen, so we'll just go with it. Here's another thing that is a problem when you don't have the same dimensions. Again, we can lock it and fix it, but if you're looking on the mobile site, this kind of gets exaggerated. So let's see what that looks like. So if it starts scrolling to different pictures and you're the poor person on your mobile phone trying to look at this, it's gonna pull things up and down every time that slide goes. You don't see this as much on the desktop version. I still find it annoying, but you're really gonna lose your marbles when you're trying to look this on a mobile site, because it's gonna go up and down all the time. So,
so basically the takeaway from that is, you know, whoever this is that is making those changes, if they need help, if they want to understand it better, you know, have them get in touch with us, because we can walk them through that, and we can help them understand, okay, what's a reasonable sized excuse me, what's a reasonable sized dimension that would fit well there. So all right, so MailChimp, there was a question here about MailChimp from the Office of Faith Formation there at the Diocese of Wichita. Let's see, I have to scroll sideways. When I get the monthly website report from you, the text box in the middle is normal size, but the white space on the left side and the right side is wider than the text. I have to scroll sideways to read the email. The first time I got it, I thought it was blank. Is this typical when using MailChimp? So it looks like they sent the email to you, if you wouldn't mind opening it. My guess is, let's see. So as we look at it on our screen, David, it's appearing pretty normal here. One thought that I have is maybe how it was the email client that's being used, which I don't know for sure what you guys are using, but it might be how it's interpreting MailChimp. The other thing, though, that I can look at is...
No, that's not typical.
Yeah, to answer your question, though, yeah, David, no, it is not typical that MailChimp would do that.
Generally what you're going to see, and this is kind of, they're trying to be clever here, is you're going to see a little bit of a summary, just a little bit of text up at the very, very top. And that's because when you're looking on, say, a mobile device and you're seeing all the previews, that'll be the words that show up. And then there should be an area down below that. Now, I've kind of found it a little bit restrictive, but most of the MailChimp email templates are about 800 pixels wide, so that, or maybe even 600 sometimes. So on a normal screen, you know, those should show up just fine. I'm trying to think what this would look like on mobile, which is maybe not a bad idea. So let's take a look at that. Because typically mobile devices are going to have smaller amounts of left and right space. So there's no good way to show you this, but odd. So maybe so.
You get real close.
There we go. So we see that, and it all seems to fit pretty well. So I'm not sure. That may be, I don't know, something good for us to look into.
I will double check it, because that is actually what's more interesting is that it went to spam. It shows, so that's one thing. You know, when you do any type of automated newsletter, it's important is making kind of a disclaimer, which obviously maybe I need to make, but letting people know that to add you to their contact list, because once they do that, that will avoid it ever going to spam. Because some filters, I mean, they go very much to the extreme where if there isn't if that sender is not in your contact list, and if there's any detection that it's got a bunch of graphics in it, like the emails that we send have, then it's going to throw it right to the spam filter. So anyhow,
good thing on MailChimp too is you can tell what your read rates are of how many people are actually viewing your email. So if you're ending up getting a lot into spam, then that's not so good. I typically, the experience I've had with parishes sending out email, so helping them to kind of get MailChimp set up and for them sending out emails. My own parish probably has, I don't know, if people care about it, I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about, so let's.
Yeah. No, we have another question after this, but I think this is what you're getting at is good. looking at just enhancing the number of emails that go out and digitally touching people more than one time. I think anybody that hasn't done it yet, having an email Sunday is a good thing as well, where you can get multiple people to add their email addresses and throw them in the collection basket. So literally have them filling out the piece of paper, throw them in the collection basket, and then being able to conglomerate a larger list of emails. I think it just enhances the way that people are going to communicate.
So, okay, I found out what happened. So I have too many accounts, too many places. So Callwitch is where I set up those automated sends of the bulletin. That's why I couldn't find it on our account, which makes sense. I don't know why. Because there was so many. Long story short. Okay, so so this is a very typical response that I'll see at parishes. So at our parish, Callwitch, we have 322 subscribers, and we get about a 50% open rate. That's really, really, really good compared to the general populace of, like, if you were selling shoes and trying to get the word out, right, a generic product or something you weren't connected to, you may see email open rates like in 15, maybe if you were doing really good, maybe the 20% percentile. So for parishes to get 50, and that's not completely accurate because certain people may see your email without, because how they track this is basically how many people are downloading a little secret graphic, so they know that it's been downloaded. But if you're just getting your email like more text-based or just on your mobile phone, depending on your configuration, basically, there might be a slight, rise to those numbers a little bit. But by and large, whenever we send out an email as far as a parish, 169 people, that's not uncommon for them to open up in a little parish like ourselves. So I think that's a lot of views. That's pretty good. So especially compared, because I think people have they're much more connected to you as a parish versus just somebody that's out there whenever trying to sell their product. They want to know what's going on in the parish. So
right,
it's a good way to hit a lot of people.
All right, we've got Brandon asks a question. What's the best way to share a Facebook feed on our website? His particular one is Christ the King in Omaha, Nebraska. I've seen some web widgets to show Facebook feeds, but wasn't sure if there was a feed that we recommend. So
a little part of this question is like, are people themselves sharing this, or is this something that you yourself is sharing? So and also third question is, do you want it automated? Okay, because there's things all around it. So let me pull up the website. Sorry, I just know that there's certain more websites I get a little more experience with, so I keep bringing them back up, or they're at the top of my mind. So we're going to go to Blessed Sacrament because I know they have this sharing widget, or at least they did, which they might have taken off.
St. Peter's actually had it on there as well.
Oh, they did? Up here, or did they have one on the left-hand side?
Oh, no, they actually had the one that kind of gives a news feed of the Facebook posts.
Oh.
I don't know which one. I'm sorry. I don't know which one you were thinking of.
That's like an embedded widget thingy. So, I mean, so you can see what he's looking at. St. Peter. So you're talking about their school, I think it was too.
It was.
So, and we have several sites with this built in, but basically to build in a widget that just lists out whatever's going on in the Facebook feed. So whenever they keep this up to date, all of those entries will be here. So that's one way to kind of integrate that. Certainly works there. For most of our sites, we do put social media links towards the top to get people there. But see, Lincoln Diocese, and it does this with their op-eds. So let's go here. Bishop's column. Okay, so this is share this. Over here on the right-hand side, I believe it's share this. Add this. Sorry, these companies kind of switch out here and there. Sometimes they get bought out. You never know. But you can. What's nice about this is it floats on top, and you can have active on particular pages. So if I wanted to share this, I click on the little Twitter icon to share there, Facebook to share there, or something that's specific about this program is kind of nice is when you click on the plus button, you can get lots of other additional options that, you know, for somebody that really likes to share things on Pinterest. Well, instead of putting 400 logos here on the right hand side, you just put the plus button and that at least kind of gets them there. Click on the Facebook logo, connects up to Facebook. Actually, you don't see that window. So let me bring that little pop-up window that showed up. There we go. And so then you can share that on your own timeline and be off to the races pretty quick. So that's a way for, if you want other people to share your information, that works. The little add this, let's see here. It's really easy. Add this, .com. Nope. I want to grow my visitors. So basically you sign in, get started for free. They have additional plans where you can have like more flexibility in how your little widget looks. But for the most part, the sharing buttons is what you're looking for. I'm not even sure you have to sign in. You didn't used to have to. So these are pro versions. They got the little deal. And then there's the free versions. This is the sharing sidebar. That was the free one. So we'll go over there and this is all changed. Okay, so it does make you log in with an account. So, but once you have the login from an account, then they give you a little bit of HTML code, and you, what I do is I add that to a module, and then I have that module active only on the pages where people would be sharing things. I don't like to put it on every page because who's going to share the bulletin page, or who's going to share the calendar page. Whereas you're really looking for them to share a particular article, right? So it's like for the register here, they're wanting to share this specific item about the bishop. So this would be a good page to have it active on. So there's that.
So as far as the feed goes, so that's good information on the how to share pages and integrate with Facebook in that direction. But do you recommend having a feed on the page, something like St. Peter's, or would you say something more like just a Facebook like button is a better method of like Facebook
integration?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of varied for how people are choosing to communicate. Because there could be a volunteer that's very familiar with Facebook, or maybe you have 2 or 3 people. And so they're very good about keeping it up to date. Well, I think it would be bad to lose out on that, right? Of all of that good, good content that people will be coming back for. So basically, yeah, if it's something that's well utilized. Now, if everything was even and you were starting from scratch, maybe that wouldn't be the direction to go. But if you do have resources that are already being poured into there, and people are using part of their stewardship to keep those things up to date and keep people liking that, I think that's a fine idea. Part of this kind of gets back to a point of what is the purpose. So Facebook is really, really, really good at getting outside people involved and connected, right? Because they don't have to even know about you. They don't even have to know about your school in order to see those stories come across and to see how much fun the kids are having, how much they're learning. So, so it's maybe a great kind of evangelization or marketing tool. It works really well as that. But if your goal is to inform parents on what's going on, the problem with pouring all of your energy into Facebook is the fact that just because they're your friends doesn't mean that you're going to see the posts. So on average, an average Facebook post that on a page that you like gets seen by about 6.5% was the last statistic that I was looking at from Facebook themselves. Because there's just so much information coming into Facebook that they can't put everybody's post on. Otherwise, it would be you wouldn't see what's important. So basically Facebook, there's The Verge had a good article about their algorithm and how it chooses what's popular. It's based on how many people like it, how many people stop when they're looking through with their phone and they kind of spend a little bit more time with it. They start promoting that, and then once that gets promoted. So, but on an average post, 6.5%. So you're not really getting, like if you're going to replace the notes you're sending home with kids with Facebook posts, well, 6.5% on average, or the parents are going to get that. So that it's much better. It's probably not a lot better of sending the little note with Johnny in this backpack, but it probably will get to you more than 6.5%. Right. That's why email is very crucial, and the website, obviously, if people know that as a resource to go back to, then
yeah. And I think a couple takeaways from what I was saying there is that, when you do post something on Facebook, so maybe you have a volunteer do it, or maybe the secretary is doing it, or maybe one of you listening is doing it. But to have, if you kind of have a group of people that you can send a text to right away and ask them to go out and like it quickly, that'll help. Video and pictures are going to help. If it's just a text-based update, it's really not going to gain much traction for the reasons that I was referring to. But so you can do little things like that to kind of hopefully game the system and get a little bit better than 6.5%. But there's a reason why
there's going to be. That's a tricky game to play because Facebook will integrate in sometimes more text-based ones because it doesn't want to put pictures in every one of them. So sometimes it's good to have like one of our friends just had a baby, and they just put a straight text update, and he has lots of friends, and so like 1,000 people liked it, but it was all text. 1,000. That's a lot. Yeah, my babies are not nearly that popular, but his friends. So. So a good mix of probably both is good, but definitely don't just always do text for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. No other questions yet to this point. Is anybody out there have another question they want to throw out?
Otherwise, we will leave. It's not a threat.
I won't. I'll just stare at the camera. It will be very.
It'll be a little bit awkward as I'm working, and.
Okay, if not, one of the thoughts that we can do is kind of walk through some of the stuff with analytics. We send out the monthly updates every month that have some of your analytics, and a lot of times we get. And while I'm talking, don't be shy. You can always throw out another question. But we almost every month that we send out those monthly reports that give you some of the very surface level analytics, we get questions back about. Well, how do I access them? What can I do with them? What's the usefulness? So yeah, I think we can help walk you through that and learn a little bit more about what's out there to learn and just how do we get to them. So
sure. So again, the reason why we're saying that, we just want to raise awareness, but there is way more information if you want to dig in and get your hands dirty there. So let's see here. We'll go to C's. Okay, so the information we send you is generally just number of sessions, number of users, and number of page views. Just to kind of lay down a little fundamental language, just to make sure everybody is on the same page. The number of users is the number of unique computers, IP addresses that come to your website. So if Travis and I both went to the website 10 times in a given month, we'd be counted as 2 users. And then we'd be counted as 20 sessions. Sessions are the number, so one user can come back several times. How many times have they come back would be the total number of sessions. And then all of the pages that we viewed on all of our sessions when we came back would be the total number of pages viewed. So that kind of gives you a little bit of a idea there. Anybody know what that day is? The peak. That'll be the peak probably for their entire year. That's Ash Wednesday, along with every other parish that we work with. That is the day for the most traffic. Okay, so a little bit of, in order to get access to this, if you don't already, you need to contact us, let us know, and we can give you access. You have to have some type of Google account. That doesn't mean you need to have a Google or a Gmail address. Just you have to have a Google account so you can access their services like Calendar and Docs and stuff like that. So that would be the first step. Once you have a Google account, we can give you access to a specific account to your parish, and then or website, whatever organization. And then you get this screen. Important things to note here is up at the top right, you can see different timelines. So you could pick, say, you can go into the past. By default, it's going to show you the last 30 days, but you might want to see, what did traffic look like over the last 3 months. So then you could apply that, and you could look at a little bit more data if you'd want. There's Ash Wednesday there peeking up again. Oh, here's probably December 7th, the Immaculate Conception. So we see around Holy Days, that's kind of cool. The other thing too that's really neat here is you can compare to previous periods. So if you want to say, you want to compare to the previous year or any kind of like specific date range, hit apply, and then we get a little graph that shows us a comparison of the two. So we can see Ash Wednesday was here this last year, and Ash Wednesday was on February 18th. The year previous, so kind of fun. And we can tell the different statistics around the change of sessions, number of pages viewed, and those kinds of things. Are those numbers going up or down, or what are they doing? So, all right, let me come back here to the regular 30 days. Okay, so all of your time functions and comparisons are all done up there at the top right corner where it has the date. This graph here shows the number of sessions, and really, so they do this for a reason. You can switch the what you want to look at as far as like page views or users or whatever. But in all reality, sessions is probably the number to use, especially at the parish level. You're going to get some traffic that have never heard of you. They're moving into town, and that's great, and you should address that audience. But the large majority of your traffic are people coming back again and again and again. C's has how many families? Like
close to 2,000.
Close to 2,000. So so they're getting 13,000 sessions, and they have a school involved, which definitely adds. Probably it might be 75% or sorry, like 50% of their traffic. Usually that's a pretty decent split. Maybe not quite that amount, but fairly close. But you have families coming back again and again and again every month. That's great. So that means a lot of information is being distributed in that fashion. It's a very efficient means of communication.
One thing I noticed when I was comparing the two was that the session duration had gone up by 100% year over year. And I think that, so like, when you're saying what's usable here, like what can I be learning? Well, you can learn, like what that tells me is that they are putting more useful content on this site, and therefore people are spending a long amount of time there finding out about things or looking at multiple things at the same time. So, there's two pieces or two things that I think are very useful with the analytics. One is to gauge, is your site a useful tool? And then the second thing would be, is it continuing to improve? So that's where looking at things year over year can be a very helpful method. The other thing, and let's see, we only have a little less than 10 minutes here, but we could dig into analytics for a long, long time, but is looking at, what are the pages that are being viewed, the actual content that people are looking at, because it's interesting, what you think is important as, in the role that you play within your organization or parish versus what the people who are coming to your site think is useful could be different. They may align in many of the times, but if you look at the behavior tab, which if I'll let Al do his thing that he's trying to show here in a second, but if you look at that, you can see right there the pages, what's generating the bulk of the information, the bulk of the traffic. So, and when you see there, kind of where Al's cursor is, it says the pages. So the slash, it's anything before the slash to the left of the slash, which you don't see anything there, that's the domain name. Okay, it's what's to the right of it that's the actual page. So the school, you can tell in this look at the last month, the school is generating 23%.
And that's the school homepage.
Right, the school homepage, right.
Lunch menus, parents are apparently very interested in that.
I know it's true for me and my family. My kids, they ask frequently what's for lunch that day, so they can decide whether or not they want to take their lunch or eat what's at school. So I know,
and that's great. Keep in mind, like, while you've got them there, you can tell them about other fundraisers or other events or retreats that they should be involved in. So
faith formation activities, youth ministries.
Fantastic that they're looking at that kind of information.
Yeah.
Bulletin. So actually, quite a few of these in the top 10 are school-related items.
Teacher pages, which is cool. So,
okay. So back to the audience overview, which is the default page. You can tell real time. Typically, this system doesn't show today's results, but if you want to see real time and how many people are on the site right now, looks like there's 3 active users, and that'll pop up and down. It tells how many are 100% right now on the desktop. So this would be like really cool if you're gonna launch your new album or something. You can see.
Yeah, Father's greatest hits.
There you go. Right
His
on.
best one-liners.
Cohort analysis. I don't know what that is. It's new or it's in beta. Okay, I have no idea what any of that is. Okay,
Yeah,
so we'll leave that alone.
You can really dig in deeper.
Demographics is fun, so we can tell like the approximate age of people that we can tell. Wow. So female, this is more than normal. Usually it's about a 60-40 split. On this website, it's a little over 70% are female and 28.6% male. So a pretty decent change there. And then this is fairly typical as far as the age ranges, but you can tell where the majority of your traffic is. Some of these things maybe, affect what kind of stories, what kind of content, because it tells you who your audience is. So that can be helpful.
The other one, geography is neat here. You can see the location.
If you're a parish, obviously most of your stuff's all going to come from that area. But if you're a diocese or an organization, that can be very helpful. There was a parish that we worked with in Georgia, and they have a school that's very, very important to them. And they're wanting to try to market it better. So they were looking at geographical information. And so they're the thing that's unique about them is they're near a military base. And so they were looking around at, who's visiting their site. And they saw a couple of dark areas that they're starting to pull a lot of traffic from, and that they happen to be pulling from other military bases. So they could tell what families, or which bases were about to transfer people over to their military base. So what do? They took that information and they said, hey, let's start to market that. So they paid for some, they did some Google AdWords and some Facebook things that were targeted in those specific areas. And so then all those families, and maybe families that weren't even looking yet, now they were exposed to, a school that they might potentially be going to. So they could really target a specific audience. Again, for a parish, it's maybe a little bit of a different thing.
Yeah.
But an organization or something like that where you're trying to figure out how to best market yourself.
It's a great example of doing actual things with this type of information.
Mobile's kind of fun. You can kind of see this progression over time. This is pretty typical. About 50% on desktop, about 40% on mobile, and 10% on tablet. There's a few areas where I've seen it once, maybe twice, where there was more mobile visitors to the site than there were desktop. But for the most part, desktop is still usually a little bit higher. But boy, has that changed over the years. That's been a pretty big game changer. Acquisition is a whole area that tells you how they get to your site. So are they searching for you? Are they typing your address in, specifically? Are they getting referred from another site? And if so, who are they getting the link from? So we can say, here's their referrals here. The Catholic Diocese of Wichita gives them a decent number of links, masstimes.org, and so on. Weeklyad.target.com. Interesting. 14 of them. So
that could, they, I think Target does some sharing with certain schools.
Okay.
So that's my only.
Kind of neat. Organic search, we can find out what search terms they're using. Wow, I'm not provided a lot of them. So C's Wichita, St. Elizabeth Catholic Church, C's Wichita. So, you know, if you're looking for, if you're a Catholic school or, you know, you're wanting C's lunch menu, that's funny. If you're looking at targeting some specific words, or maybe some of the keywords are not showing up, you may need to change some of the text on your homepage so that way you address that. Like one parish, they wanted to let people know that they served, you know, several different counties. And so they put in their description then the town names and the county names, so that way in search results, they were more likely to show up. But these keywords that they're going to indicate to you how people are finding you, what search terms they're using in Google. Social, search engine optimization, what queries, yeah, there's all kinds of fun stuff you can enable and add. Behavior, site speed, site search, in-page analytics. This is kind of fun. Let's see here. Oh, you have to use the Chrome extension, which, yeah. I'm not going to necessarily, actually, no, it's loading up down here. So what you can do is you can tell it, it kind of takes your page and then it overlays all of the links or particular pages a person can go to. Loading full view. What's that? It doesn't work?
It doesn't play nice sometimes.
Okay, probably have to try the Chrome extension. But basically it overlays your entire page and says, okay, there's 5% clicks here, you know, 20% of the traffic goes here. And so it kind of lets you know, you can see little hot spots on your site and what's more popular and such. So kind of cool. All right. I think that does it for this time around. Hopefully you guys found that useful. Again, we're here to provide whatever kind of information. I think for us, we want to see the Catholic Church grow in this area and how it communicates digitally. So there's a lot of different areas that we have expertise with. We're not experts at everything, but you know, Snapchat, I'm not a huge user of, I ain't gonna lie. But I understand it. I don't know. Anyway, not to discredit myself anymore, but we know a lot about a lot of different topics, so we're willing to talk about it. Doesn't have to necessarily be websites. We're willing to.
Yeah, apps and social media and all that kind of stuff. In fact, if you all that are out there watching right now, if you have ideas, things you want us to cover along the way, you can always send us questions beforehand. You can even, in the monthly update that you get, you can respond to that with the questions. Yeah. Lori is usually the one that sends those, but if you want to just respond back to her, she'll kick them over to us and we'll keep an inventory of them that we'll use for the next time. So.
All right, well, thanks, guys, and
thank you very much.
See you next month. Bye.